Thanks for staying with us. So our hot topic today, obviously, is just a follow-up. So tensions ran high at the National Assembly complex in Abuja as Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan attempted to resume her duties. Despite a court order ruling in her favor, security personnel blocked her entry. Supporters chanted push as they tried to force their way in. The Senate claims the court's order isn't enforceable, warning her to stay away. Akpoti-Uduaghan accused the Senate leadership of contempt of court. The dispute highlights the ongoing power struggle between the senator and the leadership of the Senate. The situation raises questions about the rule of law, legislative processes, and so many other things. She has vowed to pursue legal solutions to resolve this issue. What are your initial thoughts on this? Because, as I said, it's an ongoing case. This happened yesterday, and in the papers we took the story. However, we also have a copy of the judgment. So Nima would share with us the excerpts of some of that judgment so that we understand exactly what the court said versus what she carried out by coming to work yesterday. To join the conversation, you can call us on 020-163-52013, 090-241-63440. You can also send us messages on X and on YouTube. We'll be happy to read your thoughts. Nima, give us in a nutshell, because I read that judgment also, and there was a part of it that I felt probably that was what she was leaning towards. The point 10 that said that to suspend a member for a period of 6 months equals to suspension. That I find this excessive. So the fact that they suspended her for 180, the judge said she found it excessive and overreaching, noting that it will prevent a member from complying with the section. So that having that, implying that you shouldn't have suspended her for that much. So now, what are your thoughts on the judgment?
The Constitution does not totally address every issue. So there are other bodies, other laws, and some of those laws you see the Constitution addressing. There's something that is called an ouster clause that limits certain bodies from going into something. Yes. And this judgment, when you're reading it, you will see also in judgments there are compelling orders. There's opinion of the judge. When the judge is saying, "I believe," that's more like an opinion, not a compelling order. An order says must. Those are the words shall that must be used when a judge is saying that. So when I read this, before I read this judgment as at yesterday, I felt okay. Both of them, both parties, Natasha as well as the Senate, had appealed the judgment in question. So why is the back and forth? You don't appeal the judgment you want to enforce. You simply get, if it's not enforceable, you go back to court and get an enforcement order. If the judgment is declaratory, you go back and get an enforcement order to put some compelling force on that judgment. So that was where I was waiting from, but I don't read the judgment. So the judgment is that all previous orders, all pending application before the court become seized of the matter and are hereby set aside, except the originating summons, which is the one before the court, the preliminary objections, and the motion for interlocutory injunctions, which will be taken together in this judgment. And they said that having found the plaintiff, this was the compelling order I saw in the orders. Having found the plaintiff acted in breach of this court subsisting order, the plaintiff must take responsibility for her action and remedy the same. So thus, an order is hereby made for the plaintiff to pay a fine in the sum of 5 million naira to the federal government treasury and to publish a public apology to the court in 2 national dailies and on her Facebook page within 7 days of today to purge herself of the contempt. And that 7 days has passed.
She didn't do it.
And that the preliminary objection succeeds in part, and in that some aspects of the course of action may be inchoate, but in enforcement of fundamental rights, an act that can lie where the infringement is in anticipation or is being or is likely to be breached.
Okay, but
let me...
in a nutshell.
Nutshell. No, there's a reason why I'm reading it.
Yes, it's important.
So the only compelling order is what I have taken.
Yes.
When the judge went further, the judge continued to use, to explain how this is a hardship, how this is disenfranchising
the reason why I want
our constituency.
To come down to number 12, which is where I think Natasha is standing on, where the judge says that the Senate has the power to do 11
I
believe. Okay,
do 11 first.
Let me do 11. Okay, that I am of the opinion, right, that the Senate has the power to review the provisions of the Senate rules and can even amend Section 42, subsection 2 of the Legislative House and act on both being excessive overreaching. Now, 12 says the Senate has the power to, and I believe should recall the plaintiff and allow her to resume representing the people who sent her there to represent them.
I believe.
So,
I believe the Senate has power to and should recall. Not I believe.
Not I believe.
Once you put I believe, the power is with you.
Yeah.
I am now advising.
Yeah.
The
so
judge.
are we going to blame the judge now?
No, it's what is before the judge.
But the judge should be more
if you have this kind
specific.
of order,
so why would the judge use those wordings instead of enforceable?
Because you know that's why they brought preliminary objections. The Senate is an independent body. There's not so much the judiciary can do to interfere in the business, and this was a business of the Senate based on the Senate orders and their rules.
So we don't have a
of their
system
floor.
to check the Senate.
So what you can do, even in the past when Ndume had the suspension and all of them had their suspension, you will notice that the orders were, to apply to ask the Senate to appeal to the Senate. So the Senate
so they take you
as
back
a body
to the Senate.
Is the one.
I
would rather that Senator Natasha resumes House, then moves an order for the amendment of these sections that are overpowering of the Senate.
Yes.
Because as it be now, let's see what the Court of Appeal will rule.
All in all,
I think that the judge is also careful. You don't want to do this, and you say the Court of Appeal sets it aside for you being overreaching as a first cause of first instance.
So she's being careful as a judge, and also the Senate also they're exerting their own authority.
So please, can I ask, who are the lawyers that advised Natasha?
The same lawyers.
So
if I was a lawyer, I would go
there after reading all of the judgments. Because even we laymen here understood, I believe, that it's not enforcing.
Don't talk about the lawyers. She was going the Tuesday before she said she would not go again. So the lawyers were advising them. But the people that escorted her to the house now,
but then she goes ahead to continue.
But also she needs the media, because the truth is that there are lots of people who believe that Natasha is being oppressed. She's being subjected to these house rules that are very, very discriminatory. So because we believe, a lot of people believe in the cause. So they want to ensure that she's not being taken advantage of, because obviously
and I would say Natasha has the senator has, since this case started, what has made her quite popular and on the lips of everyone is that she has done everything against the grain of what is expected. And sometimes when you're fighting for a particular cause, it's not for those who are sitting nice and pretty and following the procedure. It's for those who are willing to, upturn everything, And so I see that that's what she's trying to do. And as you said, once she's able to get in there, then we can now start looking at policies like this and prevent it from happening further in future. But if you're looking at a politician, the regular Nigerian politician is always calculating, if I do this too much, how will this affect my going back? So this is someone who is willing to put that career even on the line for what she believes should be just and fair.
This is not so much about her career. This is also so much about the constituency. The judge's emphasis was on the constituency's misrepresentation or non-representation in the House pending this suspension.
That's on one side. The other side, which Mariam is saying, which was where I was going to lean into, is the fact that Natasha did not follow standard political moves, which is to go and meet the political blocs, settle the issue behind the scene, and then just comes back as she's reinstated. What we need now for the good of our democracy is to have more Natashas speak out against and stand for the. Whenever we settle things behind closed doors, we don't strengthen our democracy. We don't strengthen our democracy. We would have seeming peace. We would have a similitude of we are democratic, but still we have a few power blocks controlling everything happening. That's not democracy. Democracy is what we're seeing playing out. So some might not like what Natasha is doing. Some might feel like she's bringing hoodlums to the floor. Some might feel like, why is she being so aggressive? Why is she not listening? Why is she not bending? No, bending has gotten us this far, where some other senators have been suspended, their location not represented, and it just went on like that. So if she stands her ground, and maybe later on, after she has stood her ground for a long period of time, we find a solution compelled by law. Or we now have to rewrite the law to make sure that things like this don't happen.
You go first. You now came back.
Wait. Let me say something, right? Even though a lot of people are applauding what she's doing, we need to be sure that we are setting the right examples. He that must come to equity must come with clean hands. So if you are standing on your right, make sure that your right is in the right, right? So that because the younger ones are watching. We are also setting up a system where we are leading by example. So it would have been so sweet that she was following the constitution and following the law and standing on her ground. Everybody will carry it on the head. But it seems now that when you are bringing up the issues, you are realizing that she's not paying attention to the law, she's not paying attention to the constitution, she's doing her own thing and insisting on that. What are we teaching young people? I'm not against women speaking up.
The law is flawed.
Hold on.
No,
I'm not
the law
against,
is not.
There's a way they can amend the law, but even if it's flawed.
Nobody can checkmate the Senate.
No,
the
there's a
Senate
way.
agrees to do
That's why we
something.
Let me land. There's a way they can checkmate the Senate. It's not two wrongs cannot make a right.
How would they checkmate it?
So if you wait, for instance, this judgment that was given and it was interpreted properly, and you wait out the time for the suspension, and then you get back in, rightfully so, you can now start pushing and standing on these things have to change.
But that's
you have
of non-representation.
I see. You have already done something that was. Somebody has to pay the price.
I don't agree with
You have done something. Somebody will have to pay.
We wouldn't have democracy. If people were waiting for law, we won't have democracy.
It's not about law. Let's
like that you came back
to
the rule of law.
Yes, of course.
So she cannot be asking that the law is flawed without obeying the rule of law.
As simple as
I had said against Amaka's argument on the table that do the fine for the contempt of court, pay the fine, do the apologies as the court had ordered. Back. You that have not done it, that you have appealed it, and you have come to the house now without the backing of an order of court, and the court in question that you have gone to, it is your application that was heard.
And the world is watching.
Do you understand? You cannot now come to the floor of the house when there is a pending appeal against the order of the house, compelling the same house. You know that the National Assembly, as a law-making body, it's one of our institutions. So you're saying that the entire institution, the entire people, you want to face them against this right, and you want to disobey the rules that has guided the business of that place.
And may feel like that.
The business of that place can only be amended in that place.
Well, I hear you, but I know that a lot of the things that have moved on in this country and many countries is from people who have had to work at it from the outside. They had to stand and face the law. And talking about acting like hoodlums or this is against the law, even though the judge did not use enforceable words, she agrees that this does not seem fair. She agrees that this should have been overturned. She agrees that she should be recalled so that she can still represent the people that she was voted in to represent. So she's not going there against all good judgment or good decision. Even the court agrees with her. But for some reason, which lawyers can, for some reason, which I think is all this legalese and what you have explained about, they are unable to, the Senate is independent of the judiciary. They use enough words for us to know that what she's asking for is right.
You know, I hear what everybody saying. I remember watching a movie. I can't remember what movie it was, where something happened either in the US Navy or where they had to be court-martialed within the Navy. So they committed a crime, as much as the people wanted them to crucify that person, but only the laws within either the US Army or the US Navy could handle the situation. So in some cases like that, where things happen, because I was going to talk about the fact that who's going to check. So in some areas, just like the Nigerian police, certain things you can do, police can do something, but they still need to be court-martialed. They still need to be brought back into the system of the police to check them. So there are some. So I agree that the only way we can have a healthy democracy is where people have opinion to check certain things, but there's certain bodies that for whatever reason they are the ones that can internally regulate themselves, and that also must be reviewed.
So strong. And yet, when we have things that really concern the pain point of the average Nigerian,
they say it's out of their hands. My sister,
this very powerful Senate, yet we say they cannot handle it. So for me, it is a major concern.
Which one is in their hands? The Senate rules or the Constitution? Which one is out of their hands?
The Constitution is in their hands.
You see, this Senate
everything is in their hands.
Sadly,
oversight is in their hands.
On this issue,
they are so powerful.
Remember, they voted
they don't
on
fight for
this issue. The people who were amend the Senate are the people sitting inside while Senator Natasha is outside. When they voted, it was almost unanimous against her for her suspension.
Yes.
It was so who will amend it if she doesn't come in, beat the system and push for that amendment such that another Natasha coming will
they
not
don't want
be
her to
bound
come
by
in.
that
They don't want her to come in.
After 6 months,
They don't want her to come in.
They will still say she should not come
She
back.
said,
So what happens to the people that she's representing?
yes, she
What's
should
happening to the
I have to
constituency?
go on a short break. Because
She has to
back.
prioritize us.
Let's take a few
Are we
comments on
coming
this.
back?
Obviously, we can't end this thing right
Let's
now.
come.
There's still a few angles. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. Sorry it took a bit longer than usual. Let's take a few comments on social media and wrap up on this matter.
So,
okay.
Fadiki Futa, is that what you have?
Yes.
Natasha says, Natasha shows up at the National Assembly and security says, sorry ma'am, today is not your episode. Oladidi says, Akpabio must be seeing her in his dreams. The man don't enter him. Fadiki also says, who needs a key card when you've got fans chanting push as your door opener?
Fadiki is really having fun because she
Honestly.
also mentioned Akpabio locked the gate, but Natasha unlocked the headlines. He said Senate gate security drama trending faster than fuel prices. Yet today, Shonaike says Akpabio would ensure Natasha is grounded. Who told you the guys in the Senate are representing anybody or constituents? It's come and chop. You are not expected to have independent mind. Dan Daniel says, capital commodities, what are you saying? I'm 100% sure that if you were in her shoes, you would do more than that because you will have an answer to give to the people you are representing. So I think it's sort of like saying the reason she went to
push for it.
To push for it is because the people she's representing are saying you're not fighting enough to represent us. So that's
then don't to see it. So the people of the Kogi Central can carry their own placard and insist that their senator represent them.
Let me take this call. Good morning. Thanks for calling. You're live.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Please, we have to be very careful with this sensitive matter of Natasha and President of the Senate.
Okay.
I'm not in support of any one of them. I'm just here to make an objective analysis of all. You see, the way I'm seeing Natasha, she's trying to ride on the back of this masculine, feminine sentiment to bulldoze her way back to Senate. It's not right. That's number one. Number two, you see, the Senate president, everybody knows the way he talks. He talks carelessly. That's our own way we observe him, which is unbefitting of that office. But you see, the way she's going about it, who are her lawyers? Because she went to court, she's not self-represented there. Some lawyers represented her. They should be able to interpret the law to her. Look, we are not talking about whether one is a woman or no. You see, that shows the kind of person she is. This issue, this drama you are seeing happening, is telling us it's an inroad into attitudinal hierarchy. You cannot be having this sensitive matter. You are accusing a Senate president of sexual abuse. Then you think you can still come back to the Senate through the back door and do whatever you like.
How is the accusation and indictment?
You see, this issue of trying to blackmail people to have your way, people have outlived this kind of a gift.
All right, thank you very much, Hassan.
So the court did not talk about the sexual abuse matter. The court was talking about
her resumption,
her suspension based on the rules of the House.
So let's not go back into that.
Let's not go back there. So my opinion is that, she obeys the judgment, but she's appealed it. If the appeal court, if she's appealed it, then she should wait out the appeal. If the appeal court rules in her favor by upholding the judgment, they should clarify certain areas. I hope our lawyers are adding that. The areas that are not compelling enough, that they don't have, the force of a compulsion on the House. If that is addressed, she can go back to the House after obeying the court order. And that, the court only ruled on the contempt of court. Those were specifically compelling. They ordered her to pay a fine. They also ordered her to do an apology. And opined, in the opinion of the judge, that the Senate's laws were too aggressive, too excessive, and were the disenfranchising of our constituency in the fact that they don't allow a representative in the House. The court should have ordered.
Was the judge afraid?
Justice Yako. She's the same judge. I don't think that judge has a good
Justice
reputation.
Yako is not.
She's not afraid.
Why didn't she just go ahead and...
She understands that she cannot.
She's a judge.
Insist on
you
what,
doesn't want her judgment to get to the appeal court and be set aside totally. So
okay, we have to wrap up on this, but I think really, in a nutshell, is that I see both sides of the divide. I understand that the need for her to fight for her rights, the need for her to represent her people, which I think is that's the most important objective, which led her to try to resume yesterday. On the other end, there's also the issue of the rule of law within and outside the Senate, and we need to ensure that both are obeyed. So either way, the people must win. I think that's all we can take on this segment. I'm not sure if we can continue to our next story because it's quite important, but I think we're going on a very short break. When we come back, we have another hot topic for you. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.